now I'm at the point you wanna be with me. I'm vibing out at a higher frequency, cause everything that I want and I'm gonna be, it's when I wake up, that's when I start to dream. Someone you love is talking down, here is the plan. Let it fall through like a handful of sand. Nothing happens overnight, what you must understand. If you dwell on the bad, then you don't stand a chance. Something you want upset, saying why it ain't mine yet. That's because now you have yet to change your mindset. People don't put their mind to rest while they're so wired. A lot of people go to sleep and wake up tired. Power of positivity and persistence. Say that I can, we'll just sit back and witness. Make an impact when our time is done. Make money, help people, and have lots of fun.
Hey, Rhett.
Hey. David, Blaine.
Good welcome to Office Hours. What's going on, gentlemen? I'm in Blaine Bartlett's hometown
Tokyo.
of Kyoto.
Oh, you're in Kyoto there now, huh?
Kyoto, leaving for Osaka, so I had a good opportunity to join the two friends here on Office Hours. Episode almost 900, so 896 or so. We're rocking and rolling. Anyways, gentlemen, we are blessed. We'll bring on our first guest immediately. Mike Scherer is here, VP of Enterprise Product Management, TNS, the Transaction Network Service. Mike, welcome to Office Hours 896 or so. It's great to have you.
It's good to be here. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming us all the way from Tokyo or Kyoto. Sorry about that, but
Yeah,
a long way to broadcast from.
Well, we're blessed to have Rhett and Blaine always supporting me as well as we travel around the world, all three of us. Branding is a big deal today, and there seems to be a leveling up of smaller brands and smaller entities to enterprise entities. The aspect of the accessibility of the community, obviously AI allowing for an amplified, powerful messaging mechanism when we're looking at what's calling people and the branding that is available to them. You help those enterprise brand callings. Where and how do you keep the advantage to an enterprise when all the capability seems to give power to the small and medium-sized business today?
Yeah, and we support branding to both small businesses and big businesses, right? So it's pretty much a service and solution that is ubiquitous across whoever's making an outbound call engagement to a consumer and just wants to get their call answered so they can kind of complete their business outcome that they want, right? So we open it up to small, medium, and large and enterprises, and we have them all over the board, right? And it really, the genesis of the need for this, right, comes from, like, we're all consumers, so we get it. Like, we don't answer our phone calls, because when it's coming from some number that we don't know, right, we just kind of let it ring out and hope they leave a voicemail and hope it's legible, and we can then, maybe call them back and engage with them, right? And that's just an outcome because we're all paranoid of fraud, right? And so our product portfolio and our division is really about connecting and protecting the voice and messaging channel, right? And so first we start with protecting, right? Hey, let's get rid of these imposter fraud and bad actors so that we can then elevate the engagement between a brand, a business, and a consumer. So it's a win-win for the consumer because they can trust the phone calls again, the messages again. And it's a win for the businesses because they can do better business and have better customer satisfaction.
Yeah, with the company, you actually approach us, not your voice is the primary focus here, but you've got a multi-layered approach to how you actually work with a client to hopefully ensure that the messaging that's coming through is both coherent, number one, but also it's coming through with integrity, actually driving.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you structure that from a multi-layered perspective, just in a nutshell?
Yeah, so the first and foremost is we have trusted, carrier partners, right? So like a Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, right? They trust us to kind of create this protection around their customers and their services. So we're integrated into the carrier networks to protect, and identify and see all these calls happening. So we're pretty broad around the consumer reach that we have, especially in the States. And then it's a matter of like, okay, how can I then pivot and we use the term vetting or understanding these businesses that come to us and say, hey, I want to brand calls, because the last thing you want to do is let a bad actor into this ecosystem where they all of a sudden look like they're legitimate, vetted, trusted business, but actually they're an imposter and pretending and causing trouble, right? So we have a layered approach to vetting, right? So we have to know our customer, KYC, apply these policies to make sure that they're an entity that's verified and vetted. And then we take it a little bit step further, which is we actually look at the telephone numbers. So sometimes what you'll see in these businesses is like, a big business has 100,000 phone numbers, and they're trying to provision numbers on our network that are no longer allocated to them. So if you change phone numbers as a consumer, your phone number, you switch numbers, your businesses that are calling you might be calling your prior number because they don't know it's switched. So businesses do the same thing where they switch or port numbers around. So we want to make sure that a bad actor, again, didn't realize that this hospital is no longer using this number, but they had used it in the past, and try to register that number through our service. So we do entity verification and vetting. We do telephone number verification and vetting. And then the last thing we do, which is probably the most important, is we connect directly into calling platform for that business. So we do that so that we can get verification from where it originates from to where it's terminating to. We use the term call authentication. So these are verified, authenticated calls end to end. And it creates this kind of zero trust framework across all of those layers, so that you as a consumer, when you see a branded call, you'll be able to say, oh, I can trust, I can answer that call, and I can go on about my day and not worry that I just did something wrong.
Yeah, this is really interesting to me. As a small business owner or medium-sized business, and we have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this as well, startups, what's the main concern that you would share with them right now? And how can they work with you to make sure that they're secure, that they're and what should they be worried about right now?
Yeah, I think it's the same concerns that large businesses have, right? It's all around customer satisfaction.
And
right?
can they afford the? I mean, can small businesses afford this?
Yeah, so it's volume-based pricing, right?
Okay.
So we have, obviously, if you're an enterprise, you get a lower cost per use, right? Because you have more volume. But we've seen many SMBs join and sign it up if this is a real estate office that has multiple lines, but they want it under one umbrella from a pricing perspective, they can absolutely support that. And then each line, so what branded calling does is it displays a business name on the consumer's call device. It can also display a logo on the consumer's call device. So each one of those can be set up specifically for the calling party. So if you have someone in sales or you have multiple divisions and they're selling different products, you can kind of have a different incoming call display on that consumer's device. So we have a lot of flexibility on what they can set up. And then from a pricing perspective and how to set it up, it's pretty much a self-service process, right? You come to our website, sign up, buy the service and whatever volume you want, provision your information. We'll do a background check or vet you, right? And then you're up and running. So it can be a pretty quick process to get up and running.
Amazing. TNSI.com. It's a one-stop shop and utilizing call branding, which will gain trust as well as credibility in a very competitive space. It's so nice to see because with all the noise, just the fact of if you could double the amount of people that answered the call or double the amount of people that called back because of credibility, you would at minimum double your sales, plus your salespeople would get better because they actually would get more experience in actually talking and selling, something that's missing today. Mike Schindler, is that Schindler? Is that correct?
Schindler. You had it right the very first time, but it's
Yeah,
2 N's, 2
Schindler,
R's.
yeah.
It messes everybody up.
I don't stutter. It's actually his name, but very well. Mike, what a great business. I'm going to be logging on and trying it out with me and my clients. I appreciate it coming from the sales perspective. It is a very valuable tool, call branding today, and the credibility and trust that comes along with it. Mike, thanks for joining us on Office Hours, episode
Appreciate it.
896 or so.
Yep.
Amazing.
Take care.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care. We got excellent guests today, as usual. Doug is waiting in the wings as we are in Kyoto, Japan. And where are you, Rhett? You look like you're at a staircase. Oh, he's muted. Doug Leby. Is Doug Leby in the house?
Hey, guys.
Washington,
Yes.
D.C. Washington, D.C., but Doug is here, so let's get to Doug.
CEO at Beeline, the amazing Doug Leby joining us on Office Hours, episode 896. I'm going to start with the basics. Who is Beeline and what are you guys up to?
Yeah, it's pretty esoteric, and thanks for having me. I was a little surprised you guys would have interest because I find it incredibly amazing and I'm passionate about it, but the rest of the world doesn't really know about this hidden workforce. So anybody who's not full-time, we call the extended workforce. Beeline is a global SaaS company with technology and a degree of services that in essence helps the enterprise capture, manage, pay, and report on all that's not full-time. So the extended workforce.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually, believe it or not, it's a $3.8 trillion industry, which
I
to give you
believe it.
context
And
would
growing,
be the size
and growing.
of like France or United Kingdom.
Yeah, no, and it's growing. So
Yeah, exactly right.
Absolutely. Amazing. Blaine, what are you thinking?
Well, yeah, I mean, this hidden workforce sort of a concept, and to your point, I think, Doug, most people don't really appreciate just the complexity of it and the variability, that's involved with this, because we're looking at, oh my gosh, how do you describe it here? Contingent workers, independent contractors, consultants, outsourced services, shift workers, AI agents, and the list goes on.
Correct.
And what's interesting from an owner's perspective is that each one of these has a different compliance portfolio that I would be well advised to be paying some attention to.
That's right.
Both from a reporting perspective, but also just from a liability perspective. How does your platform actually take into account that broad variety and give me as an owner enough actionable data that I don't feel overwhelmed by it?
Yeah, fair point. And just a little bit of context for you, we typically serve the Fortune 2000. So these are large firms spending anywhere from $6 million a year to $6 billion. And then, thanks, Blaine, because as you start to go through the different labor classes, there are some fundamental risks that apply to all, such as, am I paying the right price? Right. Obviously, when I do statement of work, there's a little bit more opportunity to hide some margin versus a contractor. It's just a plain bill rate. But then you have to worry about GDPR and the right to erase your data. In Europe, you have to be concerned around misclassification. There are a lot of independent contractors, 1099s, who ostensibly believe they're 1099s, but they're not. We actually help with both technology, but also the vetting. Mike was talking about vetting and verification. We actually do that for bad actors in the people side of things. There's some foreign governments who are doing deep fake interviewing, getting access to your literally computers, putting them in computer farms, and then penetrating the enterprise through VPN. There's co-employment there. And then there's this whiplash of legislation, because in a cooling economy, the government's looking for money. They class action suits last year were almost $80 billion, which is 2x the year before. So to your point, as an owner at the enterprise, you have to have the visibility and the verification to ensure who's working for you, what classification they are, and that they're actually legitimately those who say they are.
Mm-hmm.
So to David's point, I wanted to ask you, this workforce is going to, blow up, right? As AI disrupts business and disrupts things, this workforce is going to be, I think, a lot bigger. What is your view on that? Like, where is the growth going to happen here? What's the advantage for me as an owner? Kind of to what Blaine was talking about. What's the advantage to me to look at using a service like this to find people for projects and the kind of work that the one-off things that I need? Yeah,
thanks, Rhett. Like 20 years ago, they called it staff augmentation because it was, get some administrators, et cetera. And the skill sets that we were looking for 20 years ago pale in comparison to the number of skills we're looking for today. So to your point, there's great pressure on all of us to utilize AI for productivity, for some to eliminate jobs, et cetera, especially in a cooling market, to do more or less. And yet there's a dearth of talent in some very key areas like cyber, AI, who knows what's going to happen in development, right? So the CFO should love this model because now I've got a variable model. And you're exactly right. Now I can bring in high level talent. And I did want to say the independent contractors out of those 6 labor classes, that's the fastest growing. And I think about both my kids. It's a really, really hard job market for college graduates. Both my kids are freelancers doing their own thing. And so there's a social component of it, but there's also the financial component where we can get great talent for a discrete period of time. And then we're not worrying about the benefits or the legalities of firing and hiring. All that's just, it's done and we move on.
Let's address the 3 biggest issues in the space and, to finish up. So understanding how you help in talent acquisition, talent development, which is, I think, one of the interesting ones. And then, of course, you just mentioned talent retention, which is variant in its nature comparatively to an enterprise that's hiring an employee, where it's so expensive on the retention side. Can you just address those 3 things very quickly?
Yeah. Sure, Dave.
Thank you.
Yep. We don't actually work with development and so we don't own or employ any employees. Now, our service side of the business does actually hold the AOR agent of record or the EOR employee of record. But to answer your question specifically, we would hone in more on the talent sourcing. And so there are staffing firms, there are consulting firms, there are freelance. All these folks are looking for work with for example, for the Mag 7 are our clients. So it's that type of a clientele. And so we basically are the conduit between the external workforce, whether that's through a staffing firm or job boards, et cetera, and then the enterprise. And in terms of retention, that really wouldn't be our bailiwick either. We just got to make sure we do the best job through AI and through our partners to ensure that we get right matches culturally, but also from a skill perspective.
It will get expensive if you're not bringing the right talent. It could be an aspect. Yeah. So, well, very, very. That's amazing. I'm glad we learned more about, and we will know more about Beeline. That's for sure.
Nice.
That one of the fastest growing areas of employment. Just go to beeline.com if you are looking for a great partner to no longer just look at a head count and look at capability aligned with what's doing well, what's stable, and what you think is doing well. Beeline is there to help you. The CEO at Beeline, Doug Leby. Thanks for joining us. We will invite you back. Promise us we'll see you soon.
Pleasure. Thanks a bunch.
That's
Thanks,
awesome.
Doug.
All right, now I got a treat for you. Our anchor client passenger today is an amazing, from nothing to over $3 billion. The amazing Matt Ebert is in the house from Crash Champions, CEO and founder. Look at that. What's going on, Matt Ebert?
Hi, David. I'm in the big bright room today, so good to see you.
I've been in that room in one of the best studios there in Illinois, that's for sure. And let's just talk about CEOs today. You're a CEO of one of the most successful companies in America, Crash Champions. I travel a lot, as you know, Matt, so I'm always seeing. I get super excited. I'm driving down the road. I'm like, oh, look, another Crash Champions. You guys have probably almost 700 different locations now. But you would think that a CEO like you wouldn't have time to play around with podcasts. And I'm always encouraging big time CEOs like yourself to understand the value of content and both having a podcast like yours, the Pod Crash, or being on podcasts like this with extraordinary people like Blaine and Red as well. Why is today's Fortune 500 CEO like yourself, billion-dollar companies, why are they in the podcast game?
Well, big part of what happens in a service business is the trust factor is important, and so people want to do business with people they know and people they trust. We're in a business where people don't need us often, every 10 years or so on average, and so this was a strategy that we pursued to get that trust factor up where people can attach a face to the business. They can get to know me through other communications, on the podcast, through social media, etc. And that's how it started. It started with really just social media. And then rather than following myself around with cameras all day to get content. The podcast seemed like a much smarter way to go about it. And you could also then leverage guest audience and start to grow our audience. And that's how we went to it. And my reviews are positive. It ends up being more work than you want it to be. That's for sure. But as far as getting the name out there and letting people know who you are, it's definitely been a great avenue for us.
But
You know,
it also 1 second, Blaine. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
But it also internally, a lot of people don't understand when you have thousands of employees, it's a huge benefit to communicate and build, talent acquisition, talent development, because you can message your own employees through your podcast, and they don't have an opportunity to meet you and to get to know you when you're in thousands and thousands of employees, which will help again with the most expensive side of employees, which is retention. I think podcasting not only is great for building the customer trust and credibility, but also the internal credibility for a big time CEO like yourself. Go ahead, Blaine. Sorry for interrupting.
Well, that was the point I was actually going to be getting, to kind of pull out.
Oh,
over here.
sure. That's why
Oh,
I said
sure.
it.
Hey, no, I'm following the master here. It's just, I've talked to CEOs, and I have mentioned, you ought to do a podcast. And they kind of look at me with this point of view in their head of that is so outside of our core competency. Why would we even consider it? And that question begs exactly to the point that you just raised, David. It begs the question, how do I communicate more? What's the word I'd use here? I'll use the word more vociferously, in a way that gets
I don't
us.
think Matt graduated college. You might have to use a synonym for vociferous.
I'm going to grab my phone and Google that
right.
word.
Yeah, vociferous. We're out there. But the idea of different channels we never used before, both external and internal. What was the biggest challenge for you, Matt, to setting this up and actually leveraging it? Not just setting it up and actually, I got a podcast out, but leveraging it in the way that you've managed to do so.
The biggest challenge was actually doing it, honestly, because I'm good at strategizing and leveraging. I'm not good in front of a camera. So to your point, this exactly started first with communicating to our own team. I'm not going to be able to get to them in person. So how can I communicate directly with everyone? We started doing it through video. My first video was so bad, we probably did 100 takes, and they decided to just do the audio and make a cartoon out of it. That's how bad of a hot mess it was at first. So there is that benefit, though, as you get through reps, as you do it more and more, it has, I believe, improved my ability to communicate. It's definitely improved my ability in front of a camera, should that ever be needed. Because before you couldn't even use the video part of it. So I'm nowhere near a master yet, but I'm a little bit further up from a disaster.
And you're a poet. You're a poet now.
Yeah, far from a disaster, Matt. One of the things I'd love to ask you about is, you do have such a big team, and you are using video to communicate with that team. How do you share your vision and your the things that you're thinking about, the things that you believe? How are you sharing that with your team on video? And how do you, because I think it's with that many locations, with 650, 700 locations, that's a massive job, right? For everybody to be dialed in on the vision, mission, and how you want things to be. How do you do that effectively?
Well, what we've done in general is simplify it into, we call it the big five. So we're helping people in a time of need, right? But there's tons of things in a big business you need to worry about. But we identified just 5 buckets that our team really needs to concentrate on. And in our world, the first one is fix cars correctly, right? That's our chief responsibility. Make sure customers are happy, make sure our insurance partners are happy, make sure our team is happy, and make money. So those 5 buckets are, what we need to concentrate on. Anything that we're doing that might seem like a new initiative isn't going to fit outside of those 5. anything that we do fits somewhere in there. So that way it doesn't come across like one new initiative after another coming down the pipe, so to speak, to the organization. It's just a refinement in the 5 areas that we care about. And through video, we can talk about those 5 things. You do it over and over. And anything new that we're talking about, we always talk about where it fits in those bucket of 5 things that we're concerned about. That took some learning on our part to do. We made the organization seasick with so many different things we were trying to do at one time or another. And so to turn the ship with less disruption, we've learned to really speak in, here's 5 things we're always trying to do, and this is going to help us do XYZ and contribute to it.
And Matt, to finish up, my mission is aligned with those 5 things, which is why I love doing work with you, and David John loves doing work with you, and a lot of these big thought leaders are attracted to what you're doing. You have this 3L type of perspective, which is lifelong learner, which I find really interesting for a lot of guys that they weren't necessarily the best students academically. They weren't pursuing that with the same type of curiosity. But yet I find a lot of people that don't go to high school or college are great learners. They really align with our mission, which is to make a lot of money for the sake of helping others and having fun, which comes in that learning side of things. When you scale a business to over $3 billion, but you spend the majority of your time building that business with 1 location, with 3 locations, the majority of your career was not having 650 or more locations and billions of dollars. But yet, do you find, because of the lifelong learning and the lessons that you've learned, that it's easier to manage a $3 billion business than it was to manage the 1 location when you started?
I don't know about easier.
Rhett, can you mute yourself? Sorry.
What I wouldn't say easier. I would say the problems are challenges are different. What I have known is if I don't learn how to manage bigger or manage more or deal with something, I'll be the bottleneck to the growth of the company. So part of the drive for me has been I have to learn and stay ahead of where I need to be to lead the company, or else I make a lot more as a shareholder than I do for the role. So I'll have to fire myself if I end up holding this up, to be honest. So it's really been, I never wanted to be the holdup for where the company needs to go. And I feel that's a major responsibility of mine, which means and requires me to continue to learn, for sure, from how to lead better, how to communicate better. There's a million things it feels like that we could talk about, but the bigger it gets, the more on point you got to be.
Yeah, if you haven't heard Pod Crash with Matt Ebert, check out the episode with Matt and I, one of my favorite interviews that I've ever participated in. You can learn more about joining the Crash Champions team internally or externally, crashchampions.com. A lot more fun working internally than when you got to meet them externally because somebody crashes your
Right.
car. But nonetheless, he's there for you in what is usually a very stressful time. To have a solid, credible leader and company is amazing, which is why Crash Champions is experiencing that growth, and so is Pod Crash with Matt Ebert. Matt, I'm looking forward to seeing you this week with Nick Saban in Louisville, Kentucky.
Excited about that.
Very
and then
excited.
You'll get to see what really makes this go. It's really the team. So I said it was harder, but the team is what makes it happen. A lot of smart people around me.
Well, you are an amazing leader to have those smart people, and you also have illustrated humility, one of my favorite characteristics of super successful people like Matt Ebert. Thank you so much for your humility, transparency, and leadership. Incredible Matt Ebert with Crash Champions and the Pod Crash with Matt Ebert. Join him, as we said, check out Crash Champions. Matt, I'll see you next week. I'm flying all the way back from Japan just to be there. You count on me.
Thank you, David. Appreciate you doing that. Good
got
to
it,
meet you
brother.
guys. Yep. Bye bye.
You bet,
Thank
man.
you. He's amazing. Wow. All right. Well, there's plenty to go with today on the takeaways of the day, and we're blessed to have such great guests. Rhett, why don't you go first?
What Matt said to me was sort of striking and so simple but so right in terms of communicating the vision and mission, and just simplify it. Come with two or three things that everything fits into, right? Everything that you take on, everything that you do fits into this core right here, and I think that's a formula for success. The way he was explaining that, I just love that.
Yeah, I'm going to actually piggyback on that, Rhett, because the takeaway there, it doesn't have to be complicated. We can be working in a complicated environment with complicated systems, but if you can nut it down, now you can leverage it. You can actually do something. And
I mean, 650 stores is complicated.
yeah, it is. It's complicated. And there's a way to simplify what I'm paying attention to. I do that. Everything actually begins to be easier to actually, the balls now are manageable.
I love manageable balls. That's
I
for
do
sure.
too.
More importantly, beyond my 12-year-old humor, my takeaway is the importance of talent acquisition, talent development, and talent retention. And I think all three of our guests articulated the value in those areas and how important it is with a changing workforce, one that is hybrid, mixed, external, virtual, artificial. We need to understand that companies are built and grow with teams. And if we're not acquiring the right team, developing the right team, and of course, retaining the right team, we are at a loss, especially today with the acceleration in expansive growth and preferences as they change so quickly. I'm blessed to be around two great leaders. One is powerful. His name is Rhett Power, and you can Ahead of Mental, check out his book. And of course, my direct mentor, teacher, and coach, someone who's had an impact on me to impact others, to impact others, to impact others, helping me change the world from Africa to New York to Washington to Southern California. We've been in so many different states together. We'll be all joined up again in Las Vegas for season 11 of Office Hours, the TV show. The OG himself, the double B, Blaine Bartlett, BlaineBartlett.com, bringing our possibilities into reality. Gentlemen, as always, thank you for going out of your way for our community. You're a blessing to me and my family and my community. God bless you both. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, brother.
Konnichiwa. Arigato. Okay, very good. All right, that'll do it for episode 896 or so, and I'm just guessing it could be more. More importantly, we are going to be real quickly, as I mentioned, we're going to be in Louisville, Kentucky with Nick Saban, Kalamazoo, Michigan, and San Diego, Las Vegas, season 11 of Office Hours, Chicago, Newport Beach with Tim Story, Jay Abraham, Marie Diamond, John Coyle, many more. Back to Las Vegas. We're going to be at the MLB All-Star Game. We're going to be at Fanatics Fest. We're going to be in LA at SoFi Stadium, the Miami FC with Messi, and then a special private member investor mastermind in London. Write down, take a snapshot of those cities. If you don't, just be invited and informed. Area code 949-298-2905. Area code 949-298-2905. And once again, if you need me, I'm available. David, it means beloved. At D is my first initial. Meltzer means servant. Let me be your beloved servant. David at dmeltzer.com. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us on Office Hours episode 896 or so. Remember, be more interested than interesting. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Hit it, Gigi.
Hey! 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 Oh, hey! Wanna know where David's gonna be? Get invites, updates, and community. When he's in your city, you won't miss a thing. Just text the number, let your phone ring, 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 9 Now I'm at the point you wanna be with me. I'm vibing out at a higher frequency, cause everything that I want and I'm gonna be, it's when I wake up, that's when I start to dream. Someone you love is talking down, here is the plan. Let it fall through like a handful of sand. Nothing happens overnight, what you must understand. If you dwell on the bad, then you don't stand a chance. Something you want upset, saying why it ain't mine yet. That's because now you have yet to change your mindset. People don't put their mind to rest while they're so wired. A lot of people go to sleep and wake up tired. Power of positivity and persistence. Say that I can, we'll just sit back and witness. Make an impact when our time is done. Make money, help people, and have lots of fun.